The APEC Australia 2007 Summit is an exciting time as we welcome APEC back to where it all began. APEC has come a long way from the first ministerial meeting in Canberra in 1989. In fact, APEC is now the premier forum for facilitating economic growth, cooperation, trade and investment in the Asia-Pacific region. As such, the APEC Economic Leaders meeting here in Sydney is the most important meeting Australia has ever hosted. 21 influential leaders from around the world will attend. More than 4,000 delegates and 1,000 media representatives will accompany them. This is the culmination of more than 100 days of preparatory meetings of senior officials and ministers. The outcomes from this meeting will help to continue to improve Australia's standing in the region with regard to trade, global business, security, public health and energy security.
Hello there. This week's APEC meeting in Sydney is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Australia. It's the most important gathering of world leaders this country has ever hosted. APEC brings together in a single group all the major economies in our region and 8 out of Australia's top 10 trading partners. Australian jobs, living standards and security all depend on the prosperity and security of the APEC region. The Asia-Pacific is the fastest growing and most dynamic region in the world. No other body draws together the leaders of so many of the world's biggest economies and our neighbours to discuss the shared challenges and opportunities we all face. Each year, the presidents of the United States, China, Russia and Indonesia sit down at APEC with the Prime Ministers of Australia and Japan and other regional leaders to discuss issues such as trade, terrorism and the steps we need to take cooperatively to ensure our region is stable, secure and prosperous. The Sydney meeting will showcase Australia to the world and provide us with a unique opportunity to influence decision makers on issues that matter to the Australian people.
APEC has forged many positive partnerships through its open and cooperative forums. Since 1989, the world has changed, and today we face new challenges in multilateral trade, global business development, regional security, public health and energy security.
This year, Australia has set out an ambitious agenda for APEC. Traditionally, APEC has been a forum for breaking down barriers to trade, so Australia's exporters can sell their goods and services into the growing markets of the Asia-Pacific. Helping Australian businesses to take advantage of new opportunities remains an important focus of this meeting. The APEC Business Summit, to be attended by senior business figures prior to the leaders' meeting, will underscore how APEC means business. APEC has also been working on improving regional security and developing better responses to threats posed by terrorism, disease outbreaks and natural disasters. In March of this year, I wrote to all APEC leaders, putting clean energy and climate change at the top of this year's APEC agenda. This is a new issue for APEC, but one that Australia recognises is important for the long-term sustainable future of the region. The biggest global political challenge on climate change is to build bridges between the industrialised world and developing countries, which we know will account for the majority of future greenhouse gas emissions. The APEC region accounts for 60% of the world's energy demand, including the 3 largest energy users in the world, China, the United States and the Russian Federation. Energy demand across the APEC economies is expected to double by 2030. While we need to recognise that combating climate change will be a challenge for many decades to come, I believe this year's APEC meeting can make a difference where it matters, developing ideas and putting the region's full weight behind a truly global response. We need to find ways to address the problem while also allowing the likes of China and Indonesia to continue to grow and prosper.
APEC is the largest dignitary protection event ever undertaken in Australian history, and so with that comes a level of security that in times past would not have been necessary. Violent protesters will most probably target APEC. There will be other protesters who will do so peacefully, but for those who don't, or for those who seek to disrupt APEC, there will be significant policing and security responses taken. The New South Wales Police Force has overall responsibility for the security and the safety of APEC delegates, the leaders and the citizens of Sydney. They and the APEC Task Force have been planning for more than 2 years, and they have taken only the absolutely essential measures to keep everyone safe, with a minimum disruption, while still allowing the city to function. It's a delicate balance to achieve, but I'm sure they'll do all of us proud in keeping Sydney safe. Whenever there's a visiting head of state in Australia, there are always security measures put in place to protect the safety of that person. Now imagine that to the power of 20, and you start to see the scale of the event. The images from APEC will be beamed across the world, but the scale and the significance of this event will also bring Australia into the international spotlight because of the far-reaching discussions that will be taking place. Please be understanding over the coming days while we host this great event for Australia in this wonderful city of Sydney. APEC member economies contribute a great deal to our national economy, and in the end, we will benefit for years to come, in spite of some minor disruptions for a couple of days.
So far, there has been a focus on potential inconvenience caused by the APEC meeting. Unfortunately, the extra security precautions that need to be taken are a necessary part of hosting such meetings in today's world. They are the fault of people who threaten violence as part of their protests. We've been working closely with the New South Wales Government, which has primary responsibility for the security of the event, to limit the disruption to what the experts assess to be absolutely necessary. I also know that there will be some individuals who want to protest against APEC. I simply ask them to stop for a moment and consider that if they really are worried about issues such as poverty, security and climate change, then they should support APEC, not attack it. In the end, I'm confident that fair-minded Australians will recognise the importance of this meeting, and equally I'm confident that the world will look at Australia and Sydney as APEC's host and recognise the vibrant, friendly and outward-looking character of the Australian people.